What's the next draft?
Your mom?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to GOODFELLAS Podcast Extra. I'm Braden.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Jared.
Cool.
Today, we will be talking about a little sequel that we like to call the Can you, make it so I'm holding Dune 2 in this hand? First, we're talking about Dune Part 1.
21.
So originally, when we all first watched it, when everybody watched it, this guy hated it. It was his least favorite movie of all time.
When we all first saw this movie, me, Logan, and Jared were all on the same boat of really enjoying it. Ethan, that little nerd twerp, when he first watched it, Ethan, tell us what you rated it on your first watch.
When I first saw it, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. It was my least favorite Denis movie at the time. I still kind of stand by why I didn't like it the first time. Since I have rewatched it, I went in with the mindset of what it was. I found a much greater appreciation for it since. It doesn't have characters, really. I don't give a shit about anybody in this movie. And on my second watch, I still didn't really care.
I watched the movie, loved it, read the book, watched it again immediately, both times in theater. My take is that you're probably right. My addendum to why I love it so much is because I think it's a really good companion piece, an intro into the world. But if you actually want to have anything to do with it, read the book. And now that the second movie's out, you can watch the second movie.
I knew what it was doing, and I thought it did it very well, but I just thought also it was so overwhelming with information. They are constantly loading you with information. Like, there's so much to unravel, especially on a first watch, not knowing anything about Dune for me. I could not connect to any one thing because I was just trying to figure out what the fuck's going on and who these people are and like how their dynamics work, which is why on a second watch I could actually breathe and somewhat understand what's going on. Even though there is very little characterization, I could kind of pick apart little things here and there that made me actually not feel the runtime as much. I think it works extremely well as like a visual feast that introduces you to this world.
On the second watch, I feel like it blew by. It was so much easier to understand knowing what it is.
Yeah, it really holds up on a second watch.
Just dropping you the fuck in there and figure this out yourself, dipshit.
I think Denis been doing this. This is his thing. I think everything setup-wise and atmosphere-wise, he did it perfectly. And sure, with anything, you're right, it's hard to understand. But I think this movie's one problem is that it doesn't have enough plot. I think the characters are very, big.
I agree. I think the characters are a lot. And that's why I don't really understand why Ethan said that you didn't feel a whole lot of characterization for these people.
The first movie feels like to me is just characters being like this. Just gazing off, especially on a first watch. No, and it's like him waking up from bed and he's like...
Yeah, he's unbelievably opium.
The book kind of reads like an anime. A character will speak.
Mhm.
You'll get their entire thought process written out. It'll go to the next person's thought process and you'll hear everything they're thinking. And then they'll say their line. And one of the things that I noticed on rewatch after having read the book was that I can hear what they're thinking because I know what they're thinking in the book. It's really well done adaptation, except for the fact that obviously we can't hear what they're thinking in the movie.
And I'm glad they didn't do that because that would not translate. Yeah.
Because you hear their thinking. There's all of the character that you're missing in the movie. I think he figured out a way to do it that worked.
Okay, the first one is obviously just world building and setup for what's to come. Dune Part 1 by itself, I can totally see how people don't like it because it is purely setup. Ethan,
I
anything
agree.
else to add from your most recent watch?
It was all about just getting used to what he was doing. Just knowing what it's going for. Great, fantastic sci-fi.
I gave Dune Part 1 a 9 out of 10.
I gave Dune Part 1 an 8 out of 10.
I gave Dune Part 1 a 9, but then I saw the second one and I bumped it down to an 8.5.
I gave Dune a 10 with the additional note that there's an extra half star because I've read the book.
So 10.5.
Dune Part 2 now.
Dude, make this a safe form. Okay?
How do you guys feel about Christopher Walken?
Where's the spice?
Dude, that's a phenomenal Christopher
Thank
Walken
you.
impression.
I'm the Emperor.
Cowbell. The second one is just everything good about the first with just so much content. The production is just up another level, which you can't even fathom before.
They just got weirder with it.
The scale of these movies, it really is like almost too big for a screen.
Can you
There's
guys
like a-
believe that Dune Part 2 had a smaller budget than Quantumania and the other MCU movie?
I don't know how. I honestly don't know what money laundering.
Right off the bat, Dune Part 2 has something that the first Dune, for me, desperately needed. And that is some jokes. Dune Part 2 has some goddamn comedy. Just the inclusion of some jokes did so much. I can't even comprehend.
I
That-
completely
That with like
agree.
action, some more plot, and some more like weirdness, it just made the movie, I don't know, more exciting, more
Yeah.
flavorful.
It's
It
interesting
also-
because
It also like amplifies the tragedy.
Part 1 is like all about exploring the politics.
Yeah.
They're setting up these
Yeah.
different tribes, these different worlds. This one, it's mainly just about the religion of these people. In the book, correct me if I'm wrong, Logan, but in the book, all the Fremen, they all believe in the Messiah. But in the movie, he made it so that they're split, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Yeah.
such a brilliant choice. It makes so much sense.
many genius choices.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
so many. Chani is like she's so good in this movie, where she's like half a character in the book.
the second one needed so badly to do something with Chani's character that made it all worth the little bit in the first one. And I don't
Mhm.
think she could have been done any other way in Part 2.
It's so neat. I haven't seen a movie do this in a long time, where every change shows us such a good knowledge of the source material, and it's just a change for the better.
Production of power is my favorite thing about this movie. By the end of the first movie, there's so much promise for what's about to happen. These great characters of Lady Jessica, Paul, Shawnee, Stingler are all ready to do something, and then instantly Lady Jessica just becomes an anti-hero, becomes sort of an evil, and it just ferments. And I love how that works, and it's such a cool complexity to the story. One of the best
Yeah.
things about this movie. She's a great
Agreed.
character.
Can we all agree that this is Timothée Chalamet's best performance?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is my Elvis.
Wow.
turning me on.
Austin Butler is Elvis.
The Coliseum scene establishing Austin Butler's character in that way made me want to see more of him. The way he acts and the way he talks, it's menacing and I love it.
We complained in The Flash. Yes, I'm bringing up The Flash in my Dune review. How in the last battle, they chose the most boring, desolate location for the final fight scene. It's just an open desert. Why does that work in Dune as opposed to The Flash?
Because it's not flat and boring. The difference between this and The Flash, the cinematographer actually showed up.
It's just the setup of the world that just makes it work.
I saw this in Ultra AVX, right? And this movie's score, it's unbelievable how good it is. Right there, I'm like, okay, my pants are on the floor. In that specific scene where it's on a flat terrain and these two groups of people are going towards each other, and then those three sandworms pop out of the smoke and the theater is shaking. The
Yeah.
terrain is the least of my worries because it is so cool.
One thing I love about Paul and how they use him, I think it's like right after he drinks the
Worm
The,
piss?
Kool-Aid.
worm cum.
We all took a shot at it.
When he drinks the slurp juice, the forbidden slurp juice. Basically, after that moment, he is shot like Darth Vader. Like they use the
Yeah.
same kind of conventions that Vader is used, and that was
Yeah.
really cool.
The way he changes with the way he acts with his body throughout this, right? Throughout the part 1 and half of part 2, he's the son of the Duke. So he's obviously holding himself to this guy of power, right? But after he drinks the juice, the way he holds himself, I'm thinking of the scene where he's walking up the cliff to look over everyone before they go to battle. That specific scene, the way he holds himself there is incredible. And
And a siege.
yeah, and he's in the middle and he's just talking his
Yeah.
shit. It's like it's one of the best
Angry.
scenes. I don't know anything about the book, so I didn't know where he was gonna go. In his monologues and the way he talks and the way his body moves when he talks, everything about him purely embodies this evil character that makes him so damn
good.
menacing. the way Darth Vader does.
It's a fascinating change. Both characters drink the whatever of life. It's like an instant change. With him and Shawnee, the trajectory is he's going to be Fremen all his life. This is his new life. This is his path. And then as soon as he takes that, it's different. And now we're completely changed. And now he's going to take on the stars. And it's an incredible character arc. It's amazing. The magnitude of this movie is so hard to express.
That Colosseum scene, it revolves around a black sun. Outside being black and white in that Colosseum, there could not have been a better choice. I saw a side-by-side of someone who made it color. It would not have hit the way it did.
The way like there's like fireworks or whatever, and the way they like pop.
Rorschach ink blocks.
So cool. Yeah. How do you communicate that to someone?
The visual inventiveness that is only present in these movies. None of this is described remotely like that in the book. But when I first saw the trailer and I saw the Colosseum in black and white, I was like, that's exactly perfect. We're in for P.
All the villains could come across so goofy at any point, but it's never broken.
It's just one of those things that I think Villeneuve just fucking kills it. Like Jared said, he's no stranger to these types of things.
This is going to be a part of the greats.
We're getting this trilogy, and we're seeing it in theaters for the first time as they come out, and it feels super special. It feels like it's going to be a thing that lasts.
We had a unique phenomenon of growing up throughout the entirety of the MCU because the MCU's done. It's not real anymore. And that's its own interesting phenomenon that I don't know if it will ever happen again.
I don't think you could even try to replicate what the MCU was for us.
Good movie.
So we're going to do our ratings. I gave Dune Part 2 a 9.5.
I gave Dune Part 2 a 9.
I gave Dune 9.5.
And I gave Dune 2 a 10. No addendums there.
Oh, guys, spoiler warning for Dune Part 2. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe down below, take your belly button, and see if you can tap that like button with it.
Take your Dune popcorn bucket.
Guys, can we try to speak?
I love Spirit Gamer 234 so much.
No, please.
You gave No Way Home a 10 on first watch, but not Dune?
Yeah, that's crazy! You are a drone for the corporate entity.
Jared, what are your thoughts on the latest Homicide Gang project?
You don't know. Dude, that is one rat looking down.
Bro, why are the hairs like fibers? Like I kind of feel like the Baron when I don't get my morning cup of Joe. If you know what I mean.